just to wake people up. I don't believe that that's the case at all. I think that James Foster Gamble, he goes by Foster Gamble, I think he decided to make Thrive because he wanted to create a social movement and be part of a larger collective experience that I feel is so let's break it down like this. So let's say you have the down and dirty version of what we would call the quote unquote Illuminati, right? And that would be the most explicit expression of that in our culture. So we'd be looking at Lady Gaga, Eye of Horus, left eye, right eye, all the symbols that go along with that. The Jay-Z stuff, the eye in the pyramid, Rihanna, the videos where, she's giving herself over to the devil. I mean, there's all that stuff, right? Run this town. This is one kind of big, lurid, pop cultural picture, the sign of the beast with your index finger and your pinky, all that stuff, right? So that's one iteration of that. And there are people that are into that. Trust me, there are people that are very into that. And they know that they're into that. I don't know if you saw my post on Krishan on the website, and I've got recent pictures of Krishan where she's got left eye, right eye cover. So Krishan is now in the mix. She's totally in the mix. And has she taken her oath? I don't know, but the latest pictures from her are very interesting. Maybe I'll post them on the site and put them in the chat room. Not now. So you've got that version, right? It's a very kind of, hey, this is where the power is. Express yourself. Fuck. Take drugs. Drink. There's no tomorrow. Just get it while you can. It's kind of a sense of desperation that's really attached to that. If we join numbers, we'll run this town. That's one version of it. I would put forth that Thrive and the Thrive movement is another version of that, and that it is in some ways, it's a more, it's a higher vibratory, I guess. It's certainly a more nuanced version. If you think about this stuff, let's think about this, right? I mean, it started, this whole concept of untangling the knots, which, by the way, I do. I mean, it's part of what I do. It's part of what people in the chat room do or people listening to the show do. It all started with the Da Vinci Code. That was really the first, big mass media piece where we got introduced, where people got introduced to the concepts of quote unquote the Illuminati and the Knights Templar and the secret societies and the intentions behind the secret societies, and to be able to use cryptography to decode. And David Icke comes along. And David Icke does, I guess Icke was a little bit before the Da Vinci Code, not much though. And Icke comes along, and Icke does the David Icke trip. And the David Icke trip is really kind of an iteration of the Bill Cooper trip or the Jordan Maxwell trip, right? So we're seeing all this stuff, and it's all coming to the surface. Now, some would say that it has to come to the surface because it can't stay under the radar forever. But I think what's being happened here, or what's taking place here, is that people are being groomed. If you believe that what happens with the different degrees of Freemasonry, that each step of the way you're being groomed to have more and more and more of the mystery of Freemasonry revealed to you, and it's based on your loyalty and your ability to meet tests and understand the proper greetings that take place between one brother and another brother of Allah. I mean, all that stuff. You have to hit milestones. And it's not just hitting the milestones. There's also kind of a vetting that takes place in terms of who you are, what your character is, or what your character isn't. And all these things take place, right? And then the next place you go to is the you're getting initiated into the deeper mysteries of Freemasonry, and then somewhere this is leading towards the ultimate moment of gnosis, where the great secret is unveiled and you become a master, and now you share the secret with a select group of other masters, and together you can work on furthering the great work of the great secret. Okay? What's happening in our culture is something very similar. I believe that these layers of initiation, from the Da Vinci Code to David Icke to Alex Jones, so all these layers are in some way they are mirrors of the mystery, and they're being externalized to people so that people get a sense of being in on some great secret. And each step of the way, they get more and more and more and more theoretically unveiled to them, right? This is what happens. They get, that's like, okay, you just got a little more. Ooh, here's this. Bang. Ooh, here's 5 more. Bang. Now people are being indoctrinated. Now, who's doing the indoctrinating? That's really the big question. Who is doing the indoctrinating and why? Why? If you go into this whole concept of the quote-unquote Illuminati or Freemasonry, the history, based on what I've read, goes all the way back to Atlantis, where you have a split between the spirit and the will. It's, according to what I've read, again, the split is planetary, and it's Orions versus Sirians, and that these two extraterrestrial races came here, essentially created Atlantis, tried to create Lemuria, but the Lemurians were too far advanced. The Lemurians had their own internal wiring that allowed them to do wild stuff. Probably the Orions and the Sirians are quite envious on some level of the Lemurians. I think they had Lemurian envy, which is why they spun off and created Atlantis. So, you know, the story goes that Lucifer was part of the landing party. That he was in Orion. He spins off. He creates Atlantis, becomes the high priest, king, god, creator of Atlantis. But there's also, again, within Atlantis, the Sirian and Orion warring factions, and they split. They split between the two, and what you have is the twin pillars, Boaz and Jachin, which are, again, supposedly the split between the Orions and the Sirians, and then we have the two groups that come out of this split, the sons of Belial and the Law of One. And throughout history, the sons of Belial and the Law of One have been warring against one another through popular culture, through government, through finance. Sons of Belial they're the hardcore, ignorant, we're elite, we're the masters, we're the guys with all the resources, we make the rules. No, let's let them govern themselves, let's give them tools to be free. The more benign version. In a lot of ways, it represents Enlil and Enki, if you want to go to the Anunnaki version of this. But we see the polarity. We see that we see the dichotomy. So let's just say, for instance, let's say it does exist. That reality is in many ways been a conflict between these two forces through time, through linear time. Now, could one make a case that Foster Gamble and Thrive are the Law of One group? I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe one could make a case where Thrive could actually be the sons of Belial, and it's really a smokescreen, and it's more about command and control than anything else. If you look at who is in Thrive, see, I think the cast of Thrive, in some ways, is more important than the ideas of the movie themselves. Okay? I think you just go down that checklist. You look at who's in that film, and you just start checking off boxes. Right? You want the alien conspiracy group, Stephen Greer, check, got him. Dubious character, by the way. You want the New Age. Everything is going to be, butterflies, unicorns, and rainbows after the ascension person, Barbara Marx Hubbard. Check. You want the feel-good human potential consciousness person, Deepak Chopra. Yep, he's in there. Check. You want the left, semi-serious, sober, has to be taken seriously person in the film. Amy Goodman. Yep, she's there. Check. Okay, so now you've got 4. Oh, David Icke. Oh yeah, we want the conspiracy, the New Age conspiracy, reptilian, white male guy. Let's put him in there. Okay, check. So now you've checked off all these boxes. Oh, then let's throw in Brian O'Leary. Brian O'Leary is the feel-good free energy guy. Check. And then the last one would be Edgar Mitchell. Mitchell's interesting. Mitchell just ran into problems with the law. Let's throw in Mitchell there from the Gnostic, the techno-Gnostic tradition. Check. So now you've got all these people that are in the movie that are selling this version of reality to their various groups, theoretically. If you're on the fence, so let's say you're on the fence with Thrive material, and you are kind of in the socialist or social progressive, truth and justice or social justice camp, and Amy Goodman is somebody that you've respected, Democracy Now!, been doing this thing for years. She's somebody that you do not dismiss. You've let her into your trust. You've let her into your circle of trust, right? And Amy Goodman shows up in this film. Like, Amy Goodman's in this movie? Wow. Maybe I should pay attention. Now, all of a sudden, when there's somebody that you identify with on an emotional level, what happens is that you allow your guard comes down and you allow information to come in. You've already softened just a little bit, and there are points in that film with these various characters, these various people, that there are enough of them so that people can soften up and allow the information to come through. I mean, it's actually a very good technique, and I think one of the reviews I saw with Thrive came from, and it's funny because I've read critical reviews coming from the Christian side, because at no point does Thrive talk about God. None. There is no mention of God in Thrive. It's all about human potential, right? Human this, human that, technology, free energy, all these things theoretically, which have nothing to do with worship or the sanctity of life, or creation, or anything like that. So the Christians, the born again Christian, the Christian right, is kind of down in the movie because of that. More, satanic, New Age claptrap. Then you've got the debunkers, which are the atheists, pretty much. And, they're science. They're all about science. And they're ripping Thrive for all of its pseudoscience. Not because there isn't enough God, there isn't enough science. So you have an experience that's triangulating. It's a very interesting dynamic. And what does it do? It creates a pyramid, right? So at one base of the pyramid, you have theoretically the atheistic, scientific. This is just more conspiracy theory bullshit.